la que hay, mi gente? Welcome to Let's Hablar Solita podcast. I am your host, Maya Ladies 7, and I am actually joined by my comadre, my cousin. Her name is at Meli715 on TikTok. You can follow her there. Hi, cousin.
Hello. I'm so excited to be doing this with you.
So we're in LA, and it's going really, really well. I forgot how hot it was in LA.
Oh, it
wasn't in LA.
Oh, it's super hot right now. You know what? It hasn't been this hot. I think this weekend it just got really, really hot. But honestly, estaba nublado. Like it was like cold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're just starting to get the heat, but
I brought the sun for you.
You did. You absolutely did.
Yes,
we needed the sunshine. Mm-hmm.
All the way from Northern Cali.
And it's opposite, right? Because usually in well, maybe where you live, it's always hot. But usually like in Northern Cali, like San Francisco area, like it's always cold and it's always hotter here. But I don't know what's been going on. It's like...
California needs to get it together. I've seen a lot of TikTok videos.
I know. You know, so funny, real quick. You know that movie New Moon?
Yeah.
Where she's like missing her man and like the camera's like going in circles. Yes. There's a guy. He's like, everybody in LA right now is like in California. And he's like all sad looking out the window and it's all gloomy. And the camera's going in circles. I'm like, that's how I am in my office looking out my window. I'm like, oh my God, it's like no sun. Okay, I guess, you know.
Yeah. I don't know how I would ever survive in a spot where it didn't have like sunlight.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
It's a little depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little depressing. So it's nice to have the sun today. Like I said, today you guys are lucky that you guys came because it is very nice out. It was really ugly, and I cannot do. I mean, I like the heat, but not like excessively hot. But it's nice.
You see, I gotta come more often down to your neck of the woods, so that way we can have some more sun.
Yeah.
Now, we were gonna talk about today a couple of things. I first want to talk about, because you brought it up on TikTok, about UFOs. All these UFO sightings that people are doing. Some of it looks fake. I am gonna say some of it looks fake.
It's fake. But it's funny because you know how our Ninos are here right now. And we were actually having this exact same conversation last night. And like my husband's a non-believer. And I had to like show him a video. I was like, look, this is the proof. And he's like looking at it like, and then thankfully Tia's here, right? So she was able to tell her story. And I was like, see, I told you. And then Uncle collaborated that story and said, I seen it too with my own eyes. Yeah. So I was like, see, there you go, in your face. It's true.
Tips on marriage. They do exist.
Yeah, so yeah, they do.
See, I'm a believer, but I feel like there are some people who go intently looking for it.
Yeah.
Like they actually have to go look for it, and I'm not that person. Like, you're here, I believe you exist, but stay away from me. That's me. I'm no way buscarlo.
Neither am I. Right? Because I'm not trying to see like a 10-foot alien. No, I'm not trying to be. Me van a secuestrar. Forget it. No. It just happened that, and I was telling a story too to my husband, and I was telling Nino and Nina that when I was driving from the Bay Area coming back to LA, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. The sun still no se había subido el sol todavía, pues it was like early in the morning. And I swear, I saw a light over a hill, and there's no airport around that area. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's where like the 580 and the 5 become one. And there's like no airport there. It was not like one of those towers that they put on the hills where, you know, for planes, nothing. And the light was just over a hill. And I was like, what is that? Right? And I was like, obviously it caught my attention. I'm staring at it. I'm like, ¿qué es eso? And then out of nowhere, it just like, it went.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that was a UFO.
Yeah. I remember camping like years ago. All of us kids were messing around with flashlights when you're little. You're like shining each other in the face. And we looked up, I think it was me, Eddie, and Charlene. We all looked up, and it looked like it was a star, but it was way too bright to be a star and too big to be a star.
And the way it moves too.
Yeah, and at first we're like, oh, that's a really pretty star. Maybe we should make a wish because it's like super big. And it moved. And we're like, wait a minute, what? You start to get scared. You're like, did that just move? And then we look again, and it moved left, and then it moved back to the center, and next thing you know, it was just gone. And we're like, okay, no, that did not just happen, but in case it did, I'm gonna go to the tent where it's we all went to our tents.
And you know what, and I think this happened with us because if you remember, we went camping to Russian River for my graduation when I graduated from high school. Okay. And I don't know if it was your dad or I don't know who had a big light that, like a spotlight basically, where you could like point it and it goes like to the sky. And I remember we were looking at like possible UFOs, right? Being weird. And I remember that we were like, oh, there's one. And then I think it was your dad. He was flashing it. I was like, don't call it. Don't call it down here. I was so scared. It's one thing looking at it, but don't call it, you know, because he would like flash the light.
Yeah.
You know, because it kept on moving.
He's like, if I do this, maybe they'll come. No, this is not where you want. Like, you're not ET phoning home. It's
no, we're not trying to be like, we don't want to meet them. Okay,
right.
Like it's okay with seeing them far away, but we do not want to meet them.
We respect you at a distance.
Yes, stay where you belong. Okay, we don't want to connect. Okay,
because
I respect you.
I thought to myself when I heard the 911 call of that guy where he's like, there's a tent, like 8 foot, 10 foot being in my backyard. I'm like, how scared would I be if I just look outside my backyard and this thing is staring back at me and it's like 10 feet tall?
Yeah.
Because the tallest basketball player, I think, hasn't even hit 8 feet.
No.
So this person's taller than an NBA star.
Yeah. And if you hear on the video, he was saying he has really big eyes, super, like they're glossy, and a really big mouth, right? And they recorded, if you notice, there's like a video where they're out there and they're recording, and they're speaking a different language, but, and they're like, I guess they see it and they're like super paranoid. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I would not be outside recording. I would be inside, you know? But again, I think now because you know, now everybody records everything, right? Everybody has a phone now. It's not like back in the days when we were growing up, like we could get away with that shit, right? We could just do whatever we wanted and it wasn't recorded and like, hey, it never happened. But now everything's being recorded. Yeah. So I think now like they can't hide it, right? Like the government can't cover this up. Right. Right? Because everybody is recording everything. And I think what makes it even more believable is that a cop caught it.
On his body cam.
On his body cam. And he's like, if they come back, don't call me. Yeah. That's what he said. If they call back, do not call for us because we're not gonna come, okay? Basically, that's what they said.
So in once when you call, what are you gonna have to do? Be like, there's a trespasser. I'm not gonna tell you what kind of trespasser.
Yeah, it's gonna happen like it happened to me in LA when I had just moved back from living in the Bay Area, and there was a helicopter hovering over my mom's house. You know, it's kind of ghetto there. And
a little bit.
And we saw the guy because the freeway's like behind your house, and the guy jumped over the freeway and he went into my mom's property, and we saw him like run past the door, and I was like, and he went towards like my mom has like a shed in the back, so he ran that way to like hide. So I'm like, what do? Do I call the police? My husband's like, just let it go. I was like, no, I'm calling the police. So here I am calling the police, and I'm like, yeah, you guys, you know, the helicopter's hovering over, you know, my mom's property, but I did see the guy that you guys are looking for. He's right here. I'm like, we're looking for somebody. And you know what the dispatcher said to me?
They're on it?
No, we're not. And she hung up on me.
Oh, hell no.
So that's how it's gonna be with the alien. You know, there's a 8-9 foot cop. No, there's not. No, there's not.
That's LAPD for you. They're like, you know what? No, don't waste my time. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, they're never gonna come. Yeah. So I think with that, that's what the cop was like. If you see him again, like, don't even. Si sabes contar, conmigo no cuentes. Basically.
If you know how to count, don't count on me.
Exactly.
Translation.
Yes.
I just thought that was interesting though, because after that, it seemed like there was multiple cases of this being, and so many people were like, I don't believe in it. They're not real. I don't think this particular part is a conspiracy theory, because for years we have heard of sightings, whether it be in like Nevada and other areas, Alaska, and no one has really been kind of like, where are all these investigations going? Hopefully one of these days they'll release something. I just think it's better to make friends with beings than be their enemies. So
we're definitely not alone.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think we can agree with that, right? Like, we're not alone. I mean, how are we going to be alone? Like, there's no way, right? I just feel like there is, you know, other things out there.
Yeah.
I mean, the same way that they've, you know, gone into they've discovered space, you know, they've gone to the moon, they've gone to Mars, they've done all that shit. Nobody's even gone down in the ocean to know like what's down there either. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we're definitely not alone. And I do believe in it. You know what I mean? And sometimes people have to go through shit, kind of like with ghosts, you know? Like, people are like, I don't believe in ghosts. And then later they fucking uncover your ass and you're like, oh shit.
All these ghost shows are on. Like,
right? It's like something happens to you and then it makes you a believer, right? So it's like, I think it's the same thing with this, but it's just crazy.
See, and then you brought up the ocean.
Yeah.
So that's gonna bring up another topic that I wanted to touch on that was recently on the news. And it was that homemade sub with the remote controller.
Girl, who the hell is gonna pay
From a game console.
$250,000?
I don't know. It wouldn't be me.
Homemade little submarine. Like who's gonna do that? Like why? Like let it be. I mean, I understand people are curious. They want to see the Titanic, but come on. Like
there was
seriously.
like 3 movies. I mean, at least 1 movie and 2 documentaries of it, and that's not enough for you. I do want to say it's sad that those people passed and for their families.
Yes.
The thing that I don't feel, that doesn't allow me to feel as bad as someone who works as hard as I work and as hard as you work. $250,000 is a lot of money.
Oh, yeah,
it's a lot of money.
House in like Texas or something.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's here in California. That's like a down payment on a house because everything is super expensive.
Yeah, notice how I said Texas.
Yeah.
That's in California. I said that's a house payment. That's a house.
It's a house.
What a house costs in Texas.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like, you spent that much money instead of. Hear me out, okay? People who are rich, when you donate to charity, that's a huge tax write-off on you. So you couldn't have given that to like a foundation, to science as a donation to get a tax write-off.
Yeah.
No, you decided to take what seemed like a homemade vessel down to that depths of the ocean to see an underwater cemetery. I'm sorry, that's pretty much what it is.
What it is. And you know what's funny is that, well, it's not funny, but that, is it the creator of The Simpsons or the writer? But he said he did it like last year or something like that. And he actually, him and his wife, they actually,
James Cameron or something like that.
I don't know what his name is, but he said that they actually went and they actually did it and they were in there and that it's comfortable and I don't know, but I mean, I'm scared of the ocean, honestly. I'm scared of the ocean. And then to go that deep, like into the ocean, that's just crazy to me. And then the amount of money that it costs to just sit there.
No hay baño. There's no bathroom.
How long was it gonna take though?
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
So if there's no bathroom, no nothing, like, ¿qué ibas a hacer si te entró una?
You gotta go, you gotta go.
Like, what are you gonna do?
I wondered, this is just me, I don't know the logistics of a dive like that. I really don't. But I know that when you go to space and you're the spacesuit, there's like a cord that you can connect to your suit that goes into like the waist for when you go to the bathroom. So typically
That's in space, right?
in space when you go to like to the moon or something.
Yeah.
So they didn't have that. From what I'm aware, they only had just their clothing. But I told my mom, and what's it called? It wasn't an explosion. It was
It imploded.
It imploded, which is basically like the same thing.
So it's kind of like a can, right? Cuando lo haces así.
It goes, and so there no hay rastros de la gente. There's no way they can recover any remains, which is sad for the families. What gets me though is they started to be concerned about the orcas, so the killer whales. And I told my mom jokingly, like, the orcas told me to tell them to leave them the hell alone because their territory was invaded.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what's down in the ocean. We don't know what animals even can go that far deep.
Well, let me tell you something else I heard of, he was a news reporter, and he said he actually did this like a couple years ago, and that he's afraid of the ocean, but obviously the opportunity came up for him to like explore, and he said, well, you know, even though I'm afraid, I'm a reporter, I'm gonna take the chance and I'm gonna go. So he went, and he said that when they were down there, there's underwater currents. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So he said they were in an underwater current, and that the little submarine or whatever the hell they're on, that it pushed them into like the boat or something, and they were stuck there and they weren't able to get out. And he was very afraid. He said that he thought he was gonna die.
Yeah.
And they were stuck for like a while. And then finally, you know, thankfully, I don't know, what is is it a pilot? What is the person that?
It's like a conductor, I think. Maybe.
Whatever, conductor. Thankfully, he was good and he was able to get him out of the situation, but it was after like a while. And, but that's another thing too, is like, you don't know what's under the water. There's underwater currents. It's a little ass thing. Like, what are you expecting? You know what I mean? It's like, I think people, you push your limits and it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Like with anything else. You're a person that you desire to live your life on the edge. I mean, you could, Dios te la perdona one time, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like and it's like you're basically living, you're risking your life every single time. At some point, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like people are like, well, if it would have been certified, it would have been different. Our madrina has always said, "Cuando te toca, aunque te quites." So when it's for you, even if you move out the way. Like it doesn't really matter. So what's sad is I heard one of the passengers brought his son who did not want to go originally.
Oh, he didn't want to go?
Yeah, the 19-year-old didn't want to go.
Really?
And he was like kind of I don't want to say pressured out of respect for the families, but persuaded to go. Now he's gone, and now the mother has to deal with the fact that she'll never see her son again. That to me is sad. That makes me feel sad. But then when you look at all the things that are going around, imagine one person on TikTok made a good point. It's sad they're gone. But what makes a lot of people who are everyday normal people who work so hard for their money and will never be in that tax bracket because of lack of generational wealth and lack of capitalized, that hasn't been tax income, are paying now for the rescue, because the tax dollars that we pay is being used on this act of fun and leisure of the people who are in the 1%. So that to me was like, it made sense why a lot of people are upset. I'm more upset because you have $250,000 and you decide to go on a homemade sub that's not certified. I'm sorry. I'm not, nope. I need receipts. I need you to have a degree in what you're
like. It did say it was true about it was like a remote control, huh? Yeah. Like a little, from a PlayStation,
like Nintendo or some crap that like it's
really?
a game console.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like why would you use, and on a sub like that, like, forgive my ignorance, shouldn't there have been a cord maybe from like a different vessel that if something goes wrong they can kind of like pull it out? That's just my
it's too far down. You're like, where's the ship up there?
Right? Like, where do you like snap it in, you know? Those, like, maybe it's my ignorance, I don't know how the mechanics work.
That would have been.
Because then I even thought if they get out, they're not wearing wetsuits. So
the pressure's too much.
Right.
Too deep.
So I'm like, they're not wearing wetsuits. If they try to get out of this thing, if there's like a little hole that they were able to get out of, they will die because of the water pressure regardless. So what makes us think that they made it even that far? When did it?
Well, supposedly it imploded as it was going down, right? That's the theory.
That's the theory.
Like, they didn't even make it down there?
They didn't make it down, actually down there. It was as it was, so I want to say it didn't even hit the 10,000 feet. It was way before that. I think it didn't even hit 5.
They felt no pain too. There's no pain too, they're saying.
Yeah.
Because when it happened, it's like, you're asleep, basically, and it's just like, it happens instantly. So they didn't feel nothing. Which is good, right? Because imagine the panic of being down there and then, you know, not being able to come back up, and then you're having this oxygen that's depleting, right? That you're losing. That's even scarier, I think. Having to know that you're something's gonna happen to you.
Because you can't breathe. And if the airplane, you know, when they say the plane's going down and the air masks come, and they tell you to put your air mask on first, and then assist a child if you have a child with you, or the person next to you if they're not conscious. It's not like that. They don't have that. So I'm like,
again, it was controlled by
a remote control. Nintendo.
I don't think they thought that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know if he like thought about like what ifs, right? Like if this happens, like I don't know if he thought about that.
Yeah. And I will say that the videos that made me laugh were the ones where they were using like the scary movie voice, or like, Sydney, the news is on. No, my girl, don't fall down the well. making me crack up every time I saw it. It was multiple people.
That's mean. I saw that too, and I was like, people are making a joke. It's sad, right? Because it's a sad situation, right? But it's funny at the same time. I mean, it's just you. I feel like you put yourself in that situation, right? You knew the risks.
Yeah.
You knew that. I'm sure they tell them, okay, this could be the last time. I mean, something bad can happen. I'm sure they tell them.
It was written. They signed it where it says death may
occur,
and they signed it. And I guess it was written on there 3 times, and they still signed it.
Can you believe that?
Like,
no.
I'm sorry. I value my life.
No, I got my kids I have to come back to. I'm trying to run away from them half the time, but I'm not trying to run that far where they're never going to see me again, okay?
You know, I just kind of want that bathroom privacy where you go to the bathroom
I just want to
your
have
mom, like,
a couple
10 times.
of minutes. Sorry, the camera's a little, okay. Hello. It was going like blurry, but yeah, so I mean, it's just pobrecito. And then the worst part is that if he didn't want to go with the sun, that was like the end of him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was 19. He was a college student, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, God, well, rest in peace, you know, to everybody that was involved in this, you know, tragic incident. We're not trying to make a joke out of it, obviously.
No. It's a serious thing that happened.
It is serious, but I mean, it's
just the questions that go into your mind as someone who's on the outside looking in, because we're not those families. We don't feel what they feel. But at the same time, we're people who, when you work so hard for your money and at the end of the day you are not able to have those luxury moments. The most you could do is like a weekend getaway, and that's it.
You couldn't, like, with that money, like rent a yacht or something and, like, you know, do something fun that was gonna be beneficial to you and involve your whole family. I know it's like once in a lifetime type of thing for them maybe, but it's like there's some things that you just have to let them be.
Right.
I mean, it's like that. And then, there was another question too about like the Titanic. Why didn't Titanic implode? They were saying, but it's different because it was a ship and it has all these windows and doors, so air travels through it basically. Yeah. So that there was no chance of the Titanic that happening to the Titanic. So with this one, because it's a small little sub, está todo cerrado, it's all closed. Right. So.
And wasn't there a hole? There was already a hole because the Titanic had hit a glacier.
It's split in half, right?
It's split.
Yeah.
So it's not something that has confined, and there's no way of getting any oxygen or air into it. It actually filled with water as it was going down.
Because I was thinking of another video on TikTok. I'm like, oh, people, we're going to hell.
Well, maybe. We don't know.
Well, there's a video, honestly, on TikTok that you know, there's this trend right now going on, right, where like people are minding their business and then like they put the song and like something passing by like super fast. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so they did that one with the Titanic, but they actually had like ghost like dancing. Dice los ghosts of Titanic, they're over there having a good time, y ahí viene el pinche submarine. Y luego ponen esa música. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yes, it's like the actual movie clip of the people dancing.
No, it's like the one, remember how when they say that it's a new thing where people are like driving and then they say, oh, you know, here comes a group of girls, and then they're like bumping their music like really fast.
Me.
Yeah, like super fast, and they're like, oh, you know, I wish that was my life, you know, I'm over here with my kids screaming in the back of my car. But anyway, so they did the same kind of thing with the Titanic where they're like minding their business, the ghosts are like dancing and minding their business in the ship, and then here comes the the miniature submarine. Yeah.
See, I think it's like normal for us to make those jokes. I feel like are normal. Yes, it's sad, it's a sad moment, we're gonna say that always, but when you see things like that, you can't help but laugh. And it also brought to me, like, if you had that much money and you wanted, why don't you just donate to a fund that is dedicated to like survivors of the Titanic and their families, or marine life if you really want to go in the ocean that bad. Like, there's so many organizations that help marine life.
Well, I think people think like this. I work every day for my money, right? I work hard to earn my money, even though they're rich, they're privileged in that sense because they have a lot of money, but they work hard for their money. So if they want to have a good time and do something for themselves, and they feel like this is money that I worked for and I'm gonna do what I want with it, right? So they feel that way, I'm assuming, right? I'm thinking that's how they feel. It's like somebody's gonna tell you you're gonna spend $5,000 on a vacation, why don't you donate it?
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like, what you mean? I work for this money. Shoot, I'm taking my ass to board. What you talking about? I'm trying to be laid out by the sand. So, you know what I mean? So I think in the sense, even though because it's too much, the money, I mean, it was excessive. I mean, who has $250,000 just like that to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go, you know, explore the Titanic. And it might cost me my life. And then on top of that, I'm gonna give $250,000.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just crazy. I think everybody, cada cabeza un mundo. You know? I wouldn't do it, honestly. No. I mean, to me, I mean, I'm sure it's amazing, right? To go down in the ocean and look at the Titanic, but I'm not gonna go and risk. If it's like, oh, you're gonna risk your life, you know, you might not come out alive from this. Why would I do that?
Right.
It's not something where it's life or death, right? So why would you do that?
I would be like that one guy I saw on TikTok where he's like, if they said it and I still signed up for it, and as soon as I see that they're bolting my ass in, I'm out. Nope, don't bolt it. I'm out. No. Never mind. I changed my mind.
Right? It's like, what if something happens? And they were bolted in there, huh?
Yeah.
That's true.
There wasn't like a door.
So then when they came, it's okay. So let's say they would have came out, and then they would have had to like, people would have had to like
unbolt it. They'd have to take out the bolts.
I don't know. I'm claustrophobic, girl. I couldn't be. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm like, no. I couldn't. I'm claustrophobic in the ocean. I'm scared. No. No. And then it's like small, and like, what if you see this giant well or something, and the well's
panic
like,
attack and just die.
Yeah, y luego con la tail te da un chingadazo and the fucking submarine se va, you know, or I don't know. I'm thinking,
it starts spinning like a car where it's just going.
Yeah.
And so much fabulousness can't be captured on
okay,
film.
I'm a little. So yeah. So excuse me, okay, because I'm a little.
Or maybe because you're dark.
Yeah. Am. And I was I was telling the girls too earlier because they were here. Our nieces are here too, so we have two beautiful nieces that are here right now with us. And I was just telling them stories of like growing up, and I'm like, yep, your uncle and your dad, they used to like cap on me all the time. I'm not gonna go into the details of what they would tell me, but yeah.
So our family is predominantly Afro-Latino. We have a lot of dark skin, you know, Latino, Hispanic families, Mexicans, and I happen to be light skinned. I've always been the lighter one out of all of us. Right now I'm a little red because I was in Huntington Beach for a little bit. But it'll get some tan, a little, it'll take a couple days.
But you do tan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do tan.
It'll get like a tan after like a few days, and then
are you red?
I'll get red first, but it doesn't hurt. So
like an olive tone.
Yeah, I get like an olive tone.
Like Chucky. My son.
Your son still gets darker than me, my godson.
Oh, does he? Okay. Yeah, I have a son that's a little bit lighter than, and he always feels like he's adopted. I'm like, you are. I'm not your mom for reals. I'm just kidding. I'm like, I'm not your mom. Honestly, I just saw you and I'm like, oh, he's cute. Let me pick him up. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, it's like we have everything in our family, right? Mm-hmm. It's like,
because our grandma's light.
Our grandma's light, and then her side of the family are very white.
Yeah.
And then on my grandpa's side, gosh, rest in peace, he's dark, and then his family is dark.
Yeah. It's interesting to see those dynamics, I think, because like my mom's light and my mom's dark and my dad's light.
Yeah.
And my dad has like the blue-green eyes, even though he thinks they're hazel. And I have the caca brown eyes, and my mom has the brown eyes too. Mm-hmm. And my grandma has really light eyes.
Like hazel?
Like hazel.
But see, you never know, because my grandma on my dad's side, you met her.
Yeah.
She was really white with blue eyes, right? But my grandpa, he was more like very dark, not very dark, but he was darker. But I always feel like darker skin always overpowers lighter skin, and not all the time, but mostly because we do have a nephew that's like half Russian too.
Oh yeah.
And he doesn't even look like his mom's like very, very white. She has green eyes, very beautiful, and he looks like us.
Yeah. But he didn't start that way. Remember when
he was blonde, right? He had like a little bit of blonde hair. But I think as he grew up, he like, and he's not dark right now. He's not. He's that
tan.
Yeah, he's a little tan. And he tans.
Yeah.
But he looks Mexican, right?
He gets darker when he tans.
Yeah.
It's really
There's a little bit of everything in our family, just so y'all know. Mm-hmm.
It's really funny. Mm-hmm. It's really funny because he'll say, I'm not white, and then when you see him like and his shorts are sagging, you can see like the difference in his color where his boxers are and the rest of it.
You're like you're really white.
You're really white.
Yeah. You don't want to be, but it's funny because I played football and my son played football, so they're about like, I want to say they're like 4 or 5 years apart. I'm not even sure, but
yeah, because he'll be 24 and then yours will be 19.
Yeah. So one time he actually played on the same football team as one of my son's cousins, right? So on the other side, right? And then my son's Tia, real quick, saw him, and I'm like, she's like, which one's your nephew? Because she saw Katrina, right? And I was like, the one that's standing next to her. He goes, which one? There's one wearing like huaraches. Like huaraches and like super. And I was like, yeah, that's the one. She's like, what? I was like, yep, that's the one. She couldn't believe it, right? Because he was like, because they had like a team meeting, and I was like, oh, my nephew's actually in your son's team. And she's like, really? She's like, yeah, I see Katrina, but where's your nephew? I was like, she's like, I always see as a kid like standing next to her, but he's like kind of dark, and he's wearing like huaraches, like he was wearing like the huaraches, you know, the tres piquetes, the one huaraches. And I'm like, oh, that's the one.
The ones que son hechos de llanta abajo, yeah.
The ones with the tres piquetes, you know, those, las piteadas, I think he had a piteada one. So yeah, I'm like, yes, he's very, very Mexican.
Yes.
Very proud.
I don't know what it is. Anytime he's got huaraches, he'll always wear them with socks. I'm like, you do realize how bad that looks. It just it does not look good.
No, it's just
Le vale.
it's a style.
Pero a él le vale. He doesn't care what it looks like.
Yeah.
So
Feel more comfortable. Like Junior, he does not take off his socks whatsoever. I'm like, dude, all day he's with socks. I'm like, dude, take off your socks. He's like, I don't want to. I was like, let your feet breathe, please. And then he's like, fine. But yeah.
And almost like my godson, for the longest time, he was wearing those cowboy boots with the shorts.
Oh yeah, he would wear cowboy boots with shorts. Yeah. And just know that it gets a little. Okay, sorry. You're gonna see that a lot.
It's fine. I'll try to fix it.
So yeah, it's blurry. I don't know. It doesn't like my face. It doesn't like my face. I don't know if it wants me to be like super close up, but I don't want you guys to see my imperfections.
Whatever. You're
yeah,
gorgeous.
I'm a little.
And beautiful
Thank you. Today, honestly, I'm very, very, very happy because my little cousin came to visit me. And then her mom, of course, my tia, and she's my comadre as well. And then my Nina, which is our Nina, she's also here. So I have a house full of family, so I'm very, very thankful for that. But I'm also very greasy in my face because I'm making quesadillas at a scratch, right? So I made the dough, so it's like quesadillas de chorizo con papas, so obviously. So ando toda media.
And you made the salsa.
I just made the salsa right now, that's exactly true. So I'm gonna start making the quesadillas right now for us to eat. Hope you guys enjoy them.
And before we enjoy those, I do want to just say, if you want to hear more in the future, please like, share, and subscribe. Put in the comments what you enjoyed. Anything you want to put here in the commentary, I, of course, will reach out to her for further opinions. And also follow my primita, my comadre, my cousin, my sister, at Meli. That's MELY715 on TikTok. Show her some love. And if you want to learn some Mexican food, she's got a lot of great stuff.
Yes, so my TikTok is primarily me cooking. Okay, so a mi manera, obviously. So yeah, go ahead and check it out and get some cool recipes.
And also stay tuned for episode 4 of Let's Hablar Solita podcast, where it would be with my other cousin, Monica, for Primita's Bougie edition. It was a pleasure to have you guys. Bendiciones. Adios.